For over 10 long years, she sat in her wheelchair. Her legs, once strong and proud, had become silent and still. The alien warrior's body told stories of battles fought and wounds earned. But now, all those stories seemed to fade behind the cold metal frame of the chair that carried her everywhere. She was called Mira, a fierce fighter from a distant planet. But now, Mira felt broken. Once she was known across the galaxy for her strength and courage. She fought in wars, led her people, and never backed down. But fate had been cruel. During a terrible battle, a powerful enemy's weapon struck her legs. The pain was unbearable, and the damage was too great to heal. No medicine, no alien technology, no healer could fix her. She was left paralyzed, unable to walk. The world around Myra changed. Her people stopped calling her a warrior. Instead, they whispered words like useless and broken. Many felt sorry for her, but kept their distance. Some even said she should retire quietly and let others fight. But Myra's spirit refused to die. Inside her, the fire of a warrior still burned. Hidden beneath the sadness and anger, she spent her days watching the stars from her home. The stars reminded her of the battles she once won and the dreams she still wanted to chase. But deep inside, she felt trapped, like a bird in a cage with broken wings. Her wheelchair became both her prison and her companion. One day, a new voice entered her life, a human engineer named Alex. Unlike the others, Alex did not look at Mira with pity. He saw something different. He saw hope. Alex came from Earth, a distant blue planet where humans worked hard to solve problems with their machines and technology. He had heard stories about Mira's injury and her long years in pain. He believed that with the right machines, Mira could walk again. But not everyone agreed. Mira's alien leaders and doctors were doubtful. They had seen many failed attempts before. They told Alex it was impossible to fix what was broken for so long. "You are wasting your time," they said. "No one can give her back her legs." Mira, however, was curious. She had little left to lose. She decided to trust Alex, even though a small voice inside her whispered, "What if this is just another disappointment?" Alex worked day and night in a small lab near Mira's home. He studied her injury carefully. He designed special robotics, legs strong and light, that could fit where her real legs stopped working. These legs were not just machines. They were meant to become a part of Mira, helping her move and fight again. As the robotic legs were being built, strange things began to happen. Some people who did not want Myra to succeed tried to stop Alex. Tools went missing. Parts were broken. Warnings were given in hushed voices. It was clear that not everyone wanted Myra to walk again. Myra learned about these threats, but stayed strong. She remembered the battles she had faced before and knew that this fight was different, but just as important. Finally, the day came when the robotic legs were ready. Mira felt a mix of fear and hope. Could these metal limbs truly replace what she had lost? Could she feel strength where once there was only weakness? Alex helped her into the new legs. The first moments were strange and difficult. Myra's muscles ached and her balance was weak. She tried to stand, but the legs felt heavy and strange. She fell back into the wheelchair, frustrated and tired. But Alex did not give up. He believed in Myra and told her, "This is only the start. We will learn together. You will walk again, step by step." Word spread quickly. Some aliens laughed, saying it was a foolish dream. Others watched silently, waiting to see if the human and the broken warrior could defy the odds. Myra looked at the stars again that night. She whispered to herself, "Maybe this time I can be strong again. Maybe I can walk." But the question hung heavy in the air. Would the robotic legs work, or was this just another painful failure waiting to happen? The broken warrior's journey was about to begin. The day after Mira first tried to stand with the robotic legs. The village buzzed with whispers. Some called it a miracle. Others said it was a foolish hope doomed to fail. Mira's friends avoided her, unsure if they should believe in a broken warrior trying to walk again. Even Mira herself felt a heavy weight of doubt pressing down on her. But Alex, the human engineer, was different. He did not see her as broken or lost. To him, Mira was a chance to prove that humans and their technology could heal what seemed impossible. Alex sat quietly in his small workshop, surrounded by wires, metal parts, and glowing screens. His mind raced with ideas. Every night, he stayed up late, working on new designs for the robotic legs. He improved the joints, making them lighter and more flexible. He added sensors to help Mira feel the ground beneath her feet. Alex believed that technology could give Mira a new life. But it was not easy. The alien village where Mira lived was far from Earth, and the materials Alex needed were rare. Sometimes, the parts he ordered from distant planets did not arrive. Sometimes, the power went out during important tests. And worse, there were enemies. Not all aliens wanted Mira to regain her strength. Some saw her as a threat, a symbol that humans could change the fate of their people. They whispered in dark corners, plotting to stop Alex's work. One night, when Alex returned to his workshop, he found his tools scattered on the floor and some important parts missing. Alex knew he was being watched. He told Mira, "They fear what we can do, but we cannot stop now." Mira felt a strange mix of fear and hope. She had spent so many years in silence and pain. Now, for the first time in a long time, someone believed in her. Maybe this human was different. With Alex's help, Mira began learning how to use her robotic legs. The first steps were slow and painful. She had to trust the strange metal parts as if they were her own body. At times, her muscles screamed in protest. At times, she fell and wanted to give up. But Alex never stopped encouraging her. "One step at a time," he said. "You will walk again." The alien doctors watched closely. Some were curious, some were skeptical. One of the village healers, a wise old alien named Cora, said quietly, "If a human can bring back her legs, it will change everything." Mira's hope grew. She began practicing every day, even when her body wanted to rest. Slowly, she could stand for longer periods. Slowly, she could move her legs forward without falling. The robotic legs were becoming a part of her. One morning, as the twin suns rose over the alien planet, Mira felt something new, spark of confidence. She stood up without help. Her robotic legs held her steady. She took a small step, then another. A crowd gathered to watch. Some cheered, some gasped in surprise. Mira smiled, a smile that had not touched her face in years. For the first time, she felt free, but just as hope blossomed, dark clouds appeared on the horizon. The village's enemies had noticed the progress. They sent spies and saboteurs to stop Alex and Mira. One night, as Mira rested, a loud explosion shook the village. Alex's workshop was on fire. Flames swallowed the machines and the parts that had taken months to build. Mira rushed outside too. See the smoke and chaos. Her heart pounded. The people whispered, "This is a warning. Give up now or lose everything." Alex stood near the burning ruins, his face grim but determined. "They want to scare us," he said, "but we cannot." "Stop." Mira looked at her robotic legs and felt their weight. She remembered the long years in her wheelchair and the pain of being told she was broken. She knew this was not just a fight for her legs, it was a fight for her life, for her people, and for hope. With a deep breath, Mira spoke to the crowd. "I have waited 10 years in silence. Now I will stand and fight. not just for myself, but for all who believe in second chances. The village rallied behind her. Together, they began rebuilding what was lost. Alex designed stronger parts and safer places to work. Myra trained harder, preparing for the battles ahead. But the danger was not over. The enemies were closer than ever, waiting for the moment to strike again. Myra knew one thing for sure. Her journey had only just begun. Would the humans' promise bring her the strength to walk, or would the shadows of the past pull her back into darkness? The answer lay in the steps she took next. Mira's heart beat fast as she faced the quiet room. The robotic legs were fitted tightly to her body now, cold but strong. She sat in her wheelchair for a moment, looking down at the strange machines that were supposed to bring her back to life. It was hard to believe that these metal limbs could replace what she had lost over 10 long years. Alex stood nearby, calm but watchful. He had been by her side since the beginning, never losing faith in the impossible. "You can do this," he said softly. "Just try to stand. I'll be here to catch you if you fall." Mira took a deep breath. She felt pain in her muscles, stiffness in her joints. But she also felt something new, a small spark of hope. She pushed down with her arms, lifting her body off the wheelchair. The robotic legs held her weight, but not easily. Her knees trembled, her balance wavered. For a moment, she thought she would fall, but Alex caught her, steadying her with strong hands. "Again," he said. "You're doing great." Mira tried. Again? This time, she stood a little longer. Her legs shook, but she did not give up. She took a tiny step forward, then another. The sensation was strange, cold metal moving where her flesh once was. But it was movement. It was freedom. A small crowd had gathered outside the workshop. Villagers whispered, watching the broken warrior try to walk again. Some doubted. Some hoped. Myra could feel their eyes on her, but she focused on each step. Suddenly, she lost balance and fell forward. Pain shot through her arms and shoulders as she hit the ground. Tears came to her eyes, not from pain, but from frustration. Alex helped her up quickly. "It's okay," he said kindly. "Falling is part of learning." Myra wiped her eyes and smiled weakly. She was not ready to quit. Not yet. Over the next days, Mira practiced every hour. She learned to trust the robotic legs a little more with each step. She fell often, but each fall was followed by rising again. Slowly, her confidence grew. The robotic legs responded better now. Sensors helped her balance, and the flexible joints moved more naturally. Alex improved the programming, making the legs easier to control. But it was not just the machine that had to change. Mira's mind and body had to heal too. The years in the wheelchair had made her muscles weak. She had forgotten how to use her legs. She had forgotten what it felt like to stand tall. The village healer, Cora, came to help. "You must not only use your legs," she said gently, "but also your will. Strength begins in the mind." Myra listened carefully and began to meditate, imagining herself walking, running, and fighting again. She dreamed of the warrior she once was strong, fearless, unstoppable. One morning, as the twin suns rose, Mira stood outside for the first time without help. The robotic legs held her steady. She took slow steps forward, feeling the rough ground beneath her feet. She felt free. Her people came out to watch. Some smiled, some whispered prayers. The broken warrior was moving again. But the world was not kind. As Myra walked, an enemy ship appeared in the sky. A group of hostile aliens had returned to attack the village. Their weapons glowed, and their ships moved fast. Myra's heart pounded. She was not ready for battle. Her new legs were strong, but her body was weak. She was still learning. The villagers ran for shelter. The enemy fired weapons that exploded near the homes. Mira knew she had to act. She could not let her people suffer. She stood tall and shouted, "I will fight." Using the robotic legs, she moved faster than anyone expected. She ran towards the enemy's landing zone, her steps pounding like thunder. The enemy was surprised. They had thought she was weak, broken. But here she was, running toward danger with fire in her eyes. Myra used the strength of the machine and the spirit of the warrior inside her. She dodged blasts and climbed rocks with the robotic legs helping her. Balance and jump, she reached the enemy supplies and destroyed their weapons with precise strikes. The attackers panicked, confused by the warrior, who should have been helpless. Back in the village, the people cheered. Kira's first battle with the robotic legs was a success. But she knew this was only the beginning. That night, Mira sat outside, looking at the stars. Her legs ached, but her spirit was alive. The human's promise was real. The robotic legs were not just machines, they were hope. Still, questions haunted her mind. Could she truly become the warrior she once was? Could she protect her people against stronger enemies? And would the enemies come back, more prepared to fight? Mira's journey was far from over. But for the first time in 10 years, she felt the strength to stand, to walk, and to fight again. Asterisk days passed, and Mira's steps grew stronger. Each morning, she woke up with a new fire in her heart. The robotic legs had become more than machines. They were a part of her. With every movement, she felt a little closer to the warrior she once was. Alex worked tirelessly beside her. He watched as Mira's muscles gained power and her balance improved. The human engineer adjusted the robotic legs with care, making them lighter, faster, and more responsive. But Mira knew this strength was not just in her legs. It was in her mind and spirit. After years of pain and silence, she was rising again. The village began to change too. The people saw her determination and started to believe in her. The whispers of doubt turned into words of hope. Children followed her steps, inspired by the broken warrior who would not stay down. One afternoon, the village healer Cora approached Mira. "Your strength grows," she said with a soft smile. "But strength alone will not protect you. You must also prepare your mind for the battles ahead." Myra nodded. She knew Cora was right. The enemy who had attacked once would return. She had to be ready. Under Cora's guidance, Mira trained. Not just her body, but her mind. She learned to focus, to control her fear, and to plan her moves. Meditation became part of her daily routine. She visualized herself leading her people, fighting with skill and wisdom. But the robotic legs still challenged her. Sometimes they hurt after long use. Sometimes they felt cold and strange, like a foreign part of her body. Mira fought through the pain, pushing herself to new limits. One evening, a scout from the village arrived with urgent news. The enemy forces were gathering again, stronger and more numerous. Mira's heart tightened. This time, the fight would be harder. She called a meeting with the village leaders and the human team. "We must prepare," she said firmly. "I will stand with you in battle, but we must train, plan, and strengthen our defenses." The humans brought new weapons and tools. They taught the aliens how to work together, to fight as one. Myra led the training. With her robotic legs, she moved faster than anyone else, showing the way. The villagers looked up to her, seeing not a broken woman, but a rising warrior. The days before the attack were tense. Myra spent every moment preparing. She fixed her robotic legs carefully, testing their limits. She practiced fighting moves, running, jumping, and climbing. At night, she dreamed of battle. She saw herself fighting the enemy leader, strong and fearless. Finally, the day came. The enemy ships darkened the sky. Their weapons glowed with deadly light. The village stood ready. Myra felt a mix of fear and determination. The robotic legs hummed softly as she stood tall among her people. The battle began with a loud roar. Myra charged forward, faster than ever. Her legs carried her over rough ground, through smoke and fire. She dodged enemy blasts, striking back. With power, the robotic legs gave her speed and strength, but it was her courage that made the difference. She inspired the villagers to fight harder to protect their homes. The enemy targeted her, sending soldiers to capture or kill the rising warrior. But Myra was quick and smart. She used her training to outsmart them, turning danger into victory. The battle was fierce. Myra felt the sting of enemy fire and the ache of exhaustion, but she refused to stop. When the dust settled, the enemy was defeated. The village was safe. Myra stood among her people, breathing hard but smiling. She had risen from the broken warrior to a true leader. Alex came to her side, pride shining in his eyes. "You did it," he said simply. Myra looked at her robotic legs, then at the stars. She knew the fight was not over, but for now she had one. Her journey had taken her from darkness to light, from silence to strength. The broken warrior was gone. The rising warrior had come. The sun was high in the sky as Myra prepared herself for the battle ahead. The village was calm now, but everyone knew that peace would not last long. The enemy was coming back, stronger and more dangerous. But Myra was ready. She was no longer the broken warrior in a wheelchair. She was a fighter with robotic legs, fast, strong, and fearless. Alex checked the robotic legs one last time. The machine hummed softly, responding perfectly to his commands. He smiled and said, "These legs will give you power no one expects. You will be the fastest, strongest warrior they have ever seen." Myra nodded. She felt the cool metal of the legs as if they were her own skin. The years of pain and silence were behind her now. Ahead was a new battle, and this time she would fight with all her strength. The enemy ships appeared on the horizon, dark and menacing. Their weapons shone like stars ready to burn. Myra stood at the front of her people, her eyes sharp and steady. The battle began with a thunderous roar. Explosions shook the ground. Screams filled the air. Myra moved like the wind. The robotic legs gave her speed beyond what any human or alien could match. She dodged blasts, jumped over rocks, and ran through fire. Her steps were strong and sure. Her enemies looked at her in shock. They had expected an easy fight against a broken woman in a wheelchair. Instead, they saw a warrior who moved faster than their eyes could follow. Myra fought with a new power. The robotic legs gave her strength to punch through shields and kick down heavy doors. Her agility allowed her to escape traps and outsmart her foes. She saved villagers trapped in the fight. She lifted children out of danger and carried the injured to safety. The people cheered as they saw their warrior fight with courage and skill. But the enemy was not done. Their leader, a fierce alien named Vrak, stepped forward. He was large, armored, and deadly. Vrak pointed at Myra and growled, "You are a joke, weak and broken. I will crush you and show your people what fear is." Myra felt her heart beat faster. Vrak was the strongest enemy she had ever faced. But she did not back down. She raised her robotic legs and said, "I am no longer broken. I am stronger than you can imagine." The fight between Myra and Vrak began. They clashed with power and speed. Vrak swung his heavy weapon, but Myra jumped high and landed powerful kicks. The robotic legs absorbed the blows and sent energy back. The battle was fierce. Sparks flew. The ground shook beneath them. Myra remembered the long years of pain and doubt. She used those memories as fuel to fight harder. Every step, every kick was for her freedom and her people's safety. The villagers watched, holding their breath. The warrior they once thought lost was now their strongest hope. Suddenly, Vrak aimed a deadly strike at Mira's robotic legs. The metal screamed as it took the hit, but the legs held strong. Mira smiled and pushed harder. With a powerful leap, she landed behind Vrak. She grabbed his weapon and broke it in two. Vrak roared in anger and rushed toward her with bare hands. Mira did not fear him. She stood firm and delivered a final strong kick. Vrak fell to the ground, defeated. The enemy soldiers saw their leader fall and fled in fear. The battle was over. Mira stood tall, breathing hard but victorious. She had proved that a broken warrior could rise and fight with new power. Alex came to her side and said, "You did it, Mira. You showed them the strength of a human and alien working together." Mira looked at her robotic legs and then at her people. She knew her journey was far from finished, but this victory was a new beginning. That night, the village celebrated. Songs were sung about the warrior who walked again, faster and stronger. Then ever, Mira sat quietly under the stars, feeling the cool night air on her face. She smiled, knowing that with her new power, she could protect her people and face any challenge. But deep inside, she knew one thing. There would be more battles ahead, more enemies waiting in the shadows. And she would be ready. The battle with Vrak was behind her, but Mira knew the real test was yet to come. News spread fast across the galaxy about the warrior with robotic legs who had defeated the enemy leader. Now, a challenge awaited her. A duel with a legendary alien warrior named Theric. Theric was known across many worlds. He was tall, strong, and undefeated in battle. His armor gleamed like black stars, and his eyes burned with fierce pride. He had heard of Mira's return to strength and wanted to test if she was truly worthy. The village prepared for the duel with mixed feelings. Some were proud, others worried Mira might be outmatched. Mira herself felt calm but focused. She knew this was not just a fight for victory, but for respect and honor. On the day of the duel, a large crowd gathered in the arena. The air was thick with tension. Aliens from distant planets and humans stood side by side, waiting to see the battle. Mira stepped forward, her robotic legs steady beneath her. She looked at Theric, who towered above her but showed no fear. The duel began. Theric struck first, swinging his massive blade with power and speed. Mira dodged with grace, her robotic legs moving faster than anyone expected. She felt the cold metal respond to her every command, guiding her steps and balance. The crowd gasped as Mira landed a quick kick, forcing Theric to stagger. He smiled a warrior smile and attacked again with fury. Mira blocked and parried, her robotic legs absorbing blows that would have crushed ordinary bones. She countered with precise strikes, using her speed to keep Theric off balance. The duel was fierce and fast. Each strike echoed with the sound of metal against metal. Mira's heart pounded, but she stayed calm, remembering all she had learned. The years of pain, the hope, the battles. Theric nodded in respect. "You fight well, Broken One," he said. "But can you keep going?" Mira's eyes burned with determination. "I am not broken," she replied. "I am stronger than ever." The fight continued. Theric aimed a powerful strike to end it, but Mira leaped high, using her robotic legs to jump over him. She landed behind Theric and delivered a final, powerful kick that sent him to his knees. The crowd erupted in cheers. Mira had won. Theric stood and bowed his head. "You have proven yourself," he said. "You are a true warrior." Mira smiled, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. This victory was more than physical. It was a victory of spirit and will. As the crowd celebrated, Mira looked at her robotic legs and felt a deep gratitude. Without the human's help, she would still be trapped in her wheelchair. Now she walked with strength, pride, and honor. But even as she stood victorious, quiet thought touched her mind. This was only one battle in a larger war. New dangers waited in the shadows, and her people needed her more than ever. Mira's journey was far from over, but with each step, she grew stronger. With each fight, she claimed her place not just as a warrior, but as a leader. The broken warrior was gone forever. The rising warrior was ready to face whatever came next. The sun set slowly behind the distant mountains as Mira stood at the top of the hill overlooking her village. The wind gently touched her face, and her robotic legs stood firm beneath her. She looked down at the homes, the people she had fought to protect, and the future she was ready to lead. For years, Mira had been broken. For years, she had felt trapped in silence and pain. But now, she was free. Not just because of the robotic legs that carried her, but because of the strength she had found inside herself. The village was alive with celebration. People sang songs of hope and courage. Children ran and played in the streets, inspired by the warrior who had risen from darkness to light. Mira's name was spoken with respect and pride across many worlds. Alex stood beside her, watching the joy with a smile. "You have come so far," he said softly. "You have shown everyone what it means to fight, to rise, and to never give up." Mira nodded. "I could not have done this without you," she replied. "Your belief gave me hope when I had none." But even in this moment of peace, Mira's thoughts were not far from the challenges ahead. The galaxy was vast, and threats still lurked beyond the stars. Her people needed a leader who could guide them through the dark times to come. Suddenly, a message arrived from a distant planet. The voice on the screen was urgent and clear. "Mira, your strength is known far and wide. But a new danger approaches, one that threatens all life in the galaxy. We need you." Mira looked at the stars, her eyes filled with determination. She understood that her journey was not over. 'Twas only beginning. With a deep breath, she turned to her people. "We have won many battles," she said, "but the war is not done. We must stand together, stronger and wiser than before. I promise to lead you with all my heart." The crowd cheered, their voices rising like a wave of hope. Mira took her first step forward, her robotic legs moving with grace and power. She was no longer the broken warrior. She was a symbol of hope, a beacon of strength, and a leader ready to face the future. As she walked down the hill, the stars shone brightly above, lighting the path ahead. The rising warrior's walk of glory had just begun.